Okay, so get this. There's this town in Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
They call it Twin Town.
Okay.
And get this. The rate of twin births is so high
Oh, wow.
that it sparked, like, all these wild theories.
Interesting.
It's called Cândido Godói.
Okay.
And you sent us this fascinating research paper about it. So
Yeah.
let's deep dive into this together.
Yeah, it really is like a real life mystery, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And this study like really digs into the data,
Yeah.
looking at two kind of main hypotheses.
Okay.
The first is that sensational Nazi experiment theory.
Right.
You know, the one everyone's heard about.
Yeah.
And then there's the more plausible founder effect,
Okay.
which is more rooted in genetics and, population history.
Okay, so let's back up a second.
All right.
Like, how many twins are we actually talking about?
Well, is it like every other birth is twins?
Not quite, haha.
Okay.
But it is a lot higher than average.
Okay.
So worldwide, about 1% of births are twins.
In Cândido Godói, it's about double that,
Wow.
around 2%.
Okay.
And then within the town, there's this one district, Linha San Pedro, or LSP.
Okay.
And there, a staggering 7% of births are twins.
7%.
7%.
Wow, okay, so that's not just a little higher.
Right.
That's a huge difference.
Yeah.
What makes LSP so unique?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
I guess so.
Even though LSP is a small part of Cândido Godói,
Yeah.
it accounts for almost a third of all the twin births in the town.
Wow.
Like, no other district even comes close to that.
So with numbers that high,
Mm-hmm.
I can see why people come up with some crazy explanation.
Yeah.
I've even heard, like, whispers about a Nazi connection.
That's the one everyone's heard of.
Is there anything to that?
Well, Joseph Mengele, infamous for those awful experiments,
Yeah.
he was rumored to have been in the area in the 60s.
Okay.
And so some people believe he was involved in some kind of,
Mm-hmm.
secret genetic manipulation. Oh, wow.
That led to this, like, surge in twin births.
That sounds more like a sci-fi movie
Yeah, a little bit.
than reality.
Right.
Did the researchers find any evidence to support that, though?
Well, they looked specifically at the years Mengele was supposedly there, from 1964 to 1968.
Okay.
And they were expecting to see, like, a sudden spike in twin births if he was really messing with, the town's genetics.
So was there a sudden boom?
Not at all.
Mm-hmm.
No evidence of any unusual increase
Oh, wow.
during that time.
Okay.
And to further debunk the theory, they also looked for a decline
Okay.
in twin births, like after the 1960s.
Yeah.
Which you would expect if his influence was real.
Right. Yeah.
But again, nothing.
Mhm.
The rate in LSP has stayed consistently high.
So that seems like a pretty strong argument against that whole Nazi theory.
It does, yeah.
So if it wasn't like a rogue doctor doing these secret experiments, then what is the real story?
Well, the researchers looked into the history of the town.
And they found that it was founded by this like small group of families.
Okay.
German families.
Sherman family, okay.
And this is where the idea of a founder effect comes in.
Founder effect.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Okay, so imagine a small group of settlers, right?
Yeah.
Establishing a new community,
Okay.
isolated from other populations.
Mhm.
The genes they carry, even rare ones,
Oh,
have a way higher chance of getting passed down
right.
and becoming more common in those future generations.
Oh, so like a genetic bottleneck.
Exactly.
So whatever genes those founding families had, whether it's, for blue eyes,
Right.
or in this case, a predisposition for twinning,
Exactly.
it would just become like magnified over time.
It's like if you drop a really concentrated dye into a small glass of water,
Okay.
the color's going to be way more intense than if you dropped that same amount into a swimming pool.
Okay, yeah, I get it.
Right.
So you're saying that one of those families, way back when,
Potentially, yeah.
might have carried a gene that, predisposes people to having twins.
Yeah.
And because of this founder effect,
Right.
that gene just became more common in Cândido Godói,
Yeah.
especially in LSP.
That's the theory.
Okay, and how do they test that?
So to test this, they use this technique called isonomy.
Isonomy?
Yeah.
What is that?
Basically, it analyzes how frequent last names are
Okay.
to figure out how genetically related people are.
So the more common a last name,
Hmm?
the more likely people are related
Yeah.
and therefore share, more of their genes.
Exactly.
It's like a family tree based on names.
That's a great way to put it.
Thanks.
Yeah, it lets researchers estimate the genetic relatedness within a population.
Okay.
And when they used this in Cândido Godói, they found something really interesting.
Let me guess. Mothers of twins had a lot of shared ancestors.
You got it.
Huh.
The study showed that mothers of twins in Cândido Godói
Yeah.
had a way higher inbreeding coefficient than mothers of single children.
So their family trees were more intertwined.
Much more.
Okay.
And that supports that founder effect theory.
That's pretty compelling.
Yeah.
But is there a link to any specific genes that increase the chance of twins?
Well, the research didn't actually try to identify specific genes.
Okay.
But we know that fraternal twinning, DZ twinning, has a stronger genetic component than identical twinning.
Right.
And guess what type of twins are mostly born in LSP?
I'm going to guess fraternal.
You got it.
Uh-huh.
The majority of twin births are fraternal,
Wow.
which, again, supports the idea of a genetic influence.
So this is like a real-life genetics puzzle, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got this isolated community, unique history,
Right.
high rate of twinning,
Uh-huh.
and now evidence pointing to, like, a genetic predisposition for fraternal twins.
It's all coming together.
It's all coming together.
Yeah.
And to top it all off,
Yeah.
researchers collected family histories and found that if a woman in LSP had a sister who had twins, she had a nearly 6% chance of having twins herself.
Wow.
So, big familial clustering.
Big time.
Okay. So we're moving away from that Nazi theory
Definitely.
and toward this much more plausible, like, genetic explanation.
Yeah.
But are there any other factors that could be influencing this?
Like what?
Like diet
Oh, okay.
or fertility treatments?
You bring up a good point.
Yeah.
Environmental factors can definitely play a role in twinning.
Right.
Things like fertility treatments can increase the chances.
Obviously, yeah.
And some studies say diet might have a small role too.
Okay, but wouldn't everyone in Cândido Godói
Uh-huh.
be exposed to the same environmental factors?
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Why would LSP stand out so much if it was just like diet or lifestyle?
Exactly.
Right. So the researchers say those things might contribute,
Okay.
but they don't explain the huge difference
Yeah.
between LSP and the other districts.
Right.
The founder effect, though, with that magnified genetic influence,
Yeah.
that offers a much stronger explanation for why this one district is so unique.
Okay, so we're ruling out the Nazis
Pretty much.
and leaning toward this,
Yeah.
fascinating genetic explanation.
Yeah.
But it sounds like there's still a lot we don't know.
Oh, definitely.
Like, what are the specific genes that are causing all these twins?
Right.
Did they look into that?
Well, this study was really focused on figuring out the most likely explanation
Okay.
for that high twin rate.
Right.
But it didn't go as far as like pinpointing the exact genes.
Oh, okay.
That would be a whole other project.
So the mystery of Twin Town is far from over.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Yeah. This research has opened up a whole new area to explore.
Exciting.
Imagine if we could actually identify those genes.
Yeah, that would be incredible.
It would be like unlocking a secret code, right?
Mm-hmm.
That could help us understand twinning.
Yeah.
Not just in this one town, but like in the wider human population.
Wow, this seemingly isolated thing might hold the key to understanding, like, all twin births.
Exactly.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
It is. It's crazy to think this tiny town in Brazil could have these, like, major clues to understanding twinning on a global scale.
Yeah, it really shows you how valuable these isolated communities can be to, research.
That's true.
But it also brings up some important questions about how we approach research in these, kind of unique settings.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like we can't just, go into a community, take data, and leave
Right.
without thinking about the ethical side of things.
Exactly. We have to be mindful of, like, the community's,
Autonomy.
yeah, their autonomy.
And make sure the research is done respectfully and transparently.
So how do researchers make sure they're being ethical in this type of research?
One of the most important things is informed consent.
Okay.
Like the community needs to understand what the research is about, the potential benefits, the risks.
And their right to say no,
But opt out.
Exactly.
So like clear communication is key.
Sure.
Researchers need to make sure everyone's on the same page
For sure.
and there aren't any misunderstandings.
Yeah, it's not just about getting a signature on a form.
Right.
It's about building trust,
Yeah.
having a real dialogue.
I imagine that can be tough.
Oh, yeah.
Especially somewhere like Cândido Godói,
Mm-hmm.
where there might be,
Language barriers.
Yeah, language and cultural differences.
Absolutely. You need researchers who are either fluent
Right.
or working closely with good translators and people who can, bridge the cultural gap.
So building those relationships and ensuring clear communication.
It takes time.
It takes time and effort.
It's not a quick process.
Not at all.
It's ongoing, really.
Yeah.
Researchers have to be open throughout the whole study,
Okay.
keeping the community updated on what they're finding and addressing any concerns that come up. What about after the research is done?
What do you mean?
What happens to the findings?
That's another big ethical point.
Okay.
The community should have a say in how the results are shared and what it might mean for them.
Right. It's not just about, advancing science.
Yeah.
It's about respect for the community.
Definitely.
And making sure the research benefits them in some way.
For sure.
It's a two-way street.
Exactly. Like, if those twin genes we talked about are eventually found, we got to think about how that info would be used.
Right.
Would it lead to, like, genetic tests?
Yes.
What would that mean for the community in terms of privacy or even, like, stigma?
That's a good point.
Those are important questions.
It reminds me of what we talked about before, the whole Famber effect thing.
Okay.
And the higher inbreeding coefficient among the mothers of twins.
That's a sensitive topic for sure. We can't sensationalize or misinterpret those findings. It's not about calling a community inbred.
Exactly.
It's about understanding the population dynamics that led to this, unusual situation.
Yeah. It's fascinating.
It is.
So present the science accurately and respectfully.
Yes.
No harmful stereotypes or anything like that.
Exactly. Approach the research with sensitivity. Understand that we're dealing with, like, real people and their stories.
Speaking of stories, I'm curious about the human element here.
In what way?
Like, how has having all these twins shaped the culture of Cândido Godói?
That's a great question, but honestly, this paper doesn't really get into that.
I wonder if they have any, like, special traditions or customs related to twins.
It's possible.
Or even, like, folklore.
Right, beyond just folklore. I want to know how it affects daily life. Think about the cost of raising twins, the impact on schools, even just, like, the social dynamics.
It's like this one genetic quirk has had this ripple effect throughout their whole society.
It really shows you how much genetics and culture are connected.
Absolutely.
And it highlights the need for, like, a more holistic way of doing research. One that looks at both the science and the actual experiences of the people.
So going back to the paper, how did the researchers handle, the ethics of their work?
Well, they said they got approval from an ethics committee.
Okay.
And informed consent from everyone involved.
Okay.
But they didn't give a ton of detail about their overall engagement with the community.
I'd love to know how the people of Cândido Godói feel about the research.
Yeah.
Like, if they think it's benefited them at all.
Me too.
Transparency and community engagement are so important.
They really are.
For ethical research.
Can't just be about the data.
Yeah.
It's about people.
It sounds like there's a lot more to this whole thing than just the science.
Absolutely. It reminds us that science isn't just cold, hard facts.
Yeah.
It's about people.
People.
And making sure that the research benefits both science and society.
I wonder how the people in Cândido Godói see this whole thing. Do they think it's, like, a special part of who they are?
I bet it's a big part of their identity.
Yeah.
I mean, they even have a twin festival every year.
Oh, that's right.
People come from all over for it.
That's so cool.
It's become like a celebration of their unique heritage.
So a small town in Brazil is now like a global destination.
Pretty much, yeah.
All thanks to this.
To all the twins.
Yeah, to all the twins.
Would pretty wild.
It speaks to how curious we all are, doesn't it?
It really does.
Like, we're all fascinated by the unusual.
For sure.
The things we don't understand.
Yeah, and the Quinn town definitely fits the bill.
We started this deep dive with, like, a really out there story.
Yeah, the Nazi thing.
Yeah, all that Nazi stuff.
Right.
But as we dug deeper, we got past all that, like, myth and speculation.
Yeah, we peeled back a layer.
And found this much more, like, complex and really fascinating reality.
That's what science does, right? And it helps us move past the surface.
Right.
Challenge what we think we know and, like, come to a better understanding of things.
And in this case, that better understanding is pointing to this really interesting connection between genetics, population history, and maybe even, like, just plain luck.
It's crazy, right?
It is. It's crazy to think that this small group of German families coming to Brazil, like, centuries ago, basically set the stage for this whole thing.
Yeah, those founding families, their genetic legacy, it's like it's colored the whole community.
Like that drop of dye.
Yeah, exactly.
In the glass of water.
It's a perfect analogy.
It is.
It's amazing.
And who knows, maybe the secrets hidden in the DNA of Twin Town will, like, one day help us understand twinning, everywhere.
In the whole human population.
That's a pretty exciting thought.
It is. It's pretty humbling, too.
It is.
Like, even with all the genetic tech we have now, there's still mysteries out there. Stories to tell, lessons to learn.
Yeah.
And sometimes those lessons come from the most unexpected places.
So to our listener, stay curious.
Always.
Question everything.
Especially what you think you know.
And don't underestimate the power of a good story.
Especially when science backs it up.
Exactly. Who knows what you'll find
Oh, yes.
if you just take a deep dive.
Until next time.
Until next time.